Hello and welcome to the ServiceDesk Plus Masterclass 2023. Today, a very good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, wherever you're joining this session from today. In this session, we will be talking about simplifying MSP operations with built-in PSA and RMM capabilities with ServiceDesk Plus MSP. Right? Uh, I'm Aditya Oswal. I'll be the product expert. I'll be talking about all the PSA details, PSA features within ServiceDesk with MSP. And joining me is Nisha Balaji. She's another product expert, but she'll be talking about all the RMM capabilities within ServiceDesk with MSP. Right? So let's dive into the session. Without wasting any time, let's start with the use case. So in today's session, we'll be talking about Zilker. Zilker is a fictitious managed service provider organization that currently uses a different kinds of software to handle the day-to-day MSP operations, such as billing, resources, projects, and ticketing. Uh, and the trouble with the different kind of disconnected tools is that they don't all work in a sync, right? So Zilker faces a lot of issues while managing while providing managed services to their clients. They, for instance, Zilker has to do a lot of regular manual inputs in their billing tool because their billing tool is disconnected from their services tool, right? And then so all the technician efforts that are logged in the service desk tool has to be replicated in the billing rule. Then for managing resources, they don't have a very detailed managing resources features within their IT service desk. So they manage it with a different tool, and which is also disconnected with their IT service desk tool. Then they have a lack of different communication channels with which the end users can reach out to the technicians, and this creates a subpar IT service delivery. And not just that, they also have they don't very minimal service desk tool. So this so that's why they have very minimal customizations and automation options available within that tool, right? So and apart from that, they have very disconnected RMM tools which do not speak well with the IT service desk tool that they have. So again, the replication and manual inputs are involved when they receive network, any alarms and any network alarms in their RMM tools, right? So let's check out how Zilker solves all these business and technology challenges with ServiceDesk Plus MSP, right? So first feature that we'll be looking at is the multi-tenant capability within ServiceDesk Plus. How you can manage all the clients and accounts within the ServiceDesk Plus MSP app. All right. So in this, we'll be discussing these features. So now I'm in the application, and on the top we have an accounts tab. Once we click on that, you'll be able to see the entire your entire account list. Zilker's entire account list are listed here, right? So Zilker would be able to add or delete any of their accounts. They would also be able to make changes in the existing accounts that are listed here, right? So in order to create a new account, they'll be able to just click on new button, and they'll be able to fill in the details. They'll be able to change the logos, customize the headers, add the address, contact information, and attach any files if they required, and add the contact. Once the contact is added, it will show up in this list, right? So there is one other way through which they can also list all their accounts. So if they click on this drop down menu, you can see that you have an option to import from CSV files as well. So they can import the clients via CSV file, client details via CSV files as well. Now, in the actions button, you have the option to delete account or assign solutions. So if Zilker wants to delete any account, they'll be able to delete right from here. And if they want to assign solutions, if they want to create a dedicated knowledge base for that any particular account, they'll be able to click on that button, and they'll be able to pick and choose the relevant knowledge articles, and they'll be able to assign it to the particular account. And this is how they'll be able to customize their knowledge base and from within the accounts tab. Then they also have an option to assign notifications. So request and notifications can be assigned from within the accounts tab. Here, request and notifications are basically all the request related information that will be sent to user or technician via mail, such as when the ticket is created, when the ticket is resolved, and so forth, so on and so forth. All right. So so these are all the actions that you can perform from the accounts tab. Now, there are certain settings that can be configured for accounts within the admin panel. So let's check them out. We click on admin panel, and we reach on this page. So once here you can see that we have account details section, and under that there are certain entities are listed. Let's check out each entity one by one and how you can configure them. So I click on regions. So regions are essentially the list of places your accounts operates from, right? So Zirkle will be able to list all the regions their different clients are situated at, and they'll be able to create and add new regions by just clicking on the new button. Next is sites. So sites are essentially the regional offices across the globe. So their client accounts would have different sites across. They may have different sites. So they will be able to create different sites for each account. So they'll be able to select a particular account for which they want to create a site. Once they select the account, they'll be able to see the sites that are already listed. So for instance, for Acme Securities account, they have already listed Germany site and Austria site. So you can so here the button that you see is change default site. So you can, in ServiceDesk Plus MSP, when you're creating a site, you can assign it as the default site, and all the settings that you design in this default site can later be used, right? So let's see how that is done. So when you want to create a new site, you click on the new site button, and you'll be able to mention all the site name and all the other details related to pertaining to that site. You'll be able to add address, contact information, and even assign the organization roles while you're creating this particular site, such as site manager and site in charge. Now, once those are done, here is the main feature that I was talking about. So if you've already assigned a default site, you will be able to copy details from that particular default site just by clicking on this button. So all the details such as operational hours, holidays, departments, and more would be copied from that particular default site, and you'll be able to utilize in this site. And if you want to pick and choose different features from different sites, so you'll be able to click on refer settings, and here you'll be able to pick and choose different site which you want to refer and get that particular detail, such as different operational hours from different site, different holidays from different site, and so forth. And if you want to create a default site, or if you want to create completely new details for this particular site, you'll be able to click on custom settings, and you'll be able to define all these. You will be able to configure all these options for that site. All right. So this is how sites are configured within ServiceDesk Plus MSP. Next up is operational hours. So operational hours are basically the working time for each client site, right? So if you follow this, if the client sites follow standard working hour, you'll be able to provide the standard 9 to 8, 9 to 6, or whichever working hour each site follows. So you'll be able to configure that from here. And if the client sites work round the clock, you'll be also be able to configure round the clock. So all the working days here you can see it's showing round the clock as 24 hours. But if there are if you want to configure for any particular day, you can do that as well within the app. So here, let's say if you want to configure different operating hours for Monday, so you'll be able to click on custom hours, and you'll be able to customize the Monday's working hours. And we also have something called exclusion rule, So let's say if your organization has a second Saturday off every month, so here you'd be able to customize that, and you'll be able to click on the second, and here you'll be able to click the day of the week, and that day would also be counted under the holiday. All right. So this is how you can configure operational hours. Next up is holidays. So holidays are essentially this list of holidays that this particular account site follows. Right. So all those days would be considered as a holiday for that site, and all these this will be used for calculating the completion time for requests. So you'll be able to take in into consideration all the operational hours and holidays in order to showcase the completion time for any request. Next up is departments. So departments. Each client site would have each client would essentially be divided, might have different sites, and under each site there will be different departments, right? So each uh, uh, site, you will be able to configure the departments, and you'll be able to click on new department. You'll be able to even assign the business impact for that particular account, for that particular site. So if you think that this site, if you want to give the highest priority to this site, you'll be able to click the check the business impact as high, and you'll be able to assign department in charge, department approver, and save it. So once you save it, this account would be given highest priority whenever the tickets from this particular site comes in, right? And then this is how departments are configured in ServiceDesk MSP. Then we finally move on to organization roles. So within each client organization, there are different. There will be different. There will be a hierarchy that's followed. There will be different organizational roles. There will be different regional roles. There will be different site roles, and there will be different departmental roles. Organization roles such as CEO, CIO, regional manager, and then regional roles such as regional manager, and so on. So from here, you'll be able to create new roles. You can just add the role name and add the description about that role, and you'll be able to associate each person, associate the user to this role, right? And you'll be able to also edit the role, or you can delete the role as well, right? So this is how roles are considered are configured in ServiceDesk Plus MSP. Now this was all about the account management side, right? Now let's check out contact management, how contact management is configured in ServiceDesk Plus MSP. Now, so we are in the admin panel now. In the admin panel, under users and permission, we have something called requesters. So all the contacts are essentially the end users or requesters for the managed service provider, right? So you will be able to get an entire list of all the requesters, all the end users you have within your organization. And then in order to import more users from different accounts, you'll be able to click on import from Active Directory, and you'll be able to import all the requests from there. You can also create a new user by clicking on new button. You'll be able to add details. You'll be able to customize the login password for that particular requester, and you'll be able to save it. And once you do that, your requester would be listed here, right? You can also import the requested details via CSV files. Furthermore, you will be able to merge the users. Let's say if a single user is listed twice, so you'll be able to merge the users. And in case any of your user tries a multiple wrong password and his account gets locked, so you'll be able to unlock that account from the locked account section. All right. So this is how you'll be able to view, import, create, delete all your requesters. All right. So next up is overcoming the billing. Next up is the billing feature within ServiceDesk Plus MSP. Here now we will see how you can automate the recurring bills and generate ad hoc and break fix bills. All right. So essentially, we have three different workflows that we follow to create different kinds of bills. So in order to set up the automated billing process, you'll be able to add the bill rules, service plans and top-up plans, and associate these service plans to contracts, service contracts, right? And then in order to create ad hoc billing, we'll be following this workflow. That is, from billing tab, we'll be able to generate the bill, right? And for break fixes, we'll be able to create it within the request tab. Let's check out how each of these workflows work within ServiceDesk Plus MSP. So in order to first configure the automated billing, we clicked on the setup, and under setup, you'll be able to see a billing option. So under billing option, there's a first entity listed as bill rule. All right. So bill rules, with bill rules, you'll be able to essentially preset the cost details for your incoming services, incoming any incident or service request, right? So in order to create a new bill rule, you just have to click on the new add new bill rule button, and you'll be able to add the bill name and description, and then you can select the criteria that you want your incoming request to pass through. And if the criteria, let's say if I want let's say I want that account, if the account is, and if I select the account as Acme Securities, so if the account is Acme Securities, so all the incoming requests would be passed through this rule. And if the account is Acme Securities, you'll be able to apply this fixed cost rule. All right. So fixed cost would be set as, you'll be able to set all the different fixed costs per request that you charge, the fixed cost per hour that you charge, and all the differential costs. And once you do that, you'll be able to save it, and your bill rule would be created and listed here. All right. So next up is service plan. So service plan, a service plan is essentially the service usage information that that your clients can avail, right? So we, in order to define the service usage information within ServiceDesk Plus MSP, we create a service plan. So in order to create that, you add the name. Then here we have an option called service plan type. So in order to create, so you can either charge your customers based per hour, per request, or you can levy a fixed charge, right, for all the requests, for all the services that you provide. Then we have some things called we have two things called billing mode and bill cycle. So for billing mode, you'll be able to give the flexibility to your accounts to either pay to you via postpaid method or via prepaid method. Under prepaid method, you'll be able to define the service plan, and you'll also be able to associate a top-up plan. So a top-up plan is essentially the additional allowance. So we'll see how to configure this top-up plan a bit later, right? So now, for now, we select the postpaid plan, and then we select the bill cycle. So you can create bill cycle as weekly, monthly, quarterly, half yearly, yearly, and so on. So once you've decided upon the bill cycle, bill mode, and service plan type, you'll just have to add the fixed charges, monthly allowance, and you'll be able to save the service plan. Now, if you want your requesters, if you want your clients to avail your services even when their service plan is exhausted, you'll be able to click on this particular option, and you'll be able to allow your accounts and users to create requests even once their service plan is exhausted, right? So, and you will be able to define the additional usage charges here, such as you'll be able to add the fixed cost per hour, or you'll be able to select the differential cost per hour. So in order to fetch these values, you'll be able to click. In order to fetch these values, you can either just define a fixed cost here and be done with it, or you can associate the bill rule that we just created, right? So this bill rule, if you associate, it will automatically fetch the values. So under if you want to associate differential cost, you will be able to click here. You'll be once you click on the bill rule, you'll be able to see that all the values are fetched. And if the bill rule doesn't satisfy, you'll also be able to define the different values, and these costs would be levied to your clients once the billing cycle is completed, right? And this is how bills would be sent to them automatically. But before the bills go to their client, before we will be able to send, we have to set up the contracts. So this is how we create the service plan in ServiceDesk Plus MSP. Now let's move on to the top up that we discussed earlier. So a top up plan is essentially the additional allowance. So you'll be able to configure it by clicking on the add top up plan, add the names, add the price, add requests per unit that you want to allow. Let's say you want to allow 100 requests and 20 hour units. So your a client, which is a postpaid client, a prepaid client, will be able to avail this top-up plan and utilize 100 more units of service of requests and 20 hours of your technician's time, right? So this is how top-up plan can be configured. Now we move on to the contract billing. So once you have created all your service plans, you will be able to, associate that particular service plan to your billing contract. So a contract billing is essentially the service contract that is agreed upon the managed service provider and their clients, right? So in order to create and assign a service plan to a contract, you click on Add New Contract, and here you'll be able to select the particular service plan that you want to associate to this client, and you'll be able to add contract number, you'll be able to add contract name and other details such as start and expiry date, and you'll be able to configure the expiry notifications as well. If you want to send the notifications before, you'll be able to configure that information here and select the user that you want the mail to go, the notification to go, and then you can also configure the after the service plan exhaustion notifications, right? Then you'll be able to add the different billing details such as the email to which the bills would go to, date formats, currency, and discounts. Then you can select the billing options, and you'll be able to add the additional. You'll be able to add the tax that are levied in your country, and you'll be able to associate those tax, just simple as that, and you'll be able to save the service contract. So this is how a contract billing is configured, and now you have configured the configured the complete automated billing process as we saw in this particular workflow, right? So how would a particular request, how would this look in action? So let's check it out. If when we go to the request tab, here you'll be able to select the account for which you want to create request, for which the request would be coming from. So let's say if a user reaches out to you for a particular issue, such as he is any application are crashing frequently, so you'll be able to select the template and proceed with that, and you'll be able to select the requester's name and create the request. Once you create that request, you'll be able to see that a contract is active here, right? So the contract, that the service contract that you just created is now active, and all the requests, all the bill rules that you set up earlier are, so this request has gone through those rules and has satisfied, and only then it is showing contract associated here. Now every client can have multiple contracts as well, based on the different types of services a managed service provider provides. So you can also have you can also select, and if you think that this request is relevant to the other account, you'll be able to relevant to the other service contract, you'll just be able to select the other service contract, and you'll be able to associate it from right here. If you want to mark the request as non-billable, you can just select this option and associate it. Now, once all this is done, a technician would work on this issue, and later on he'll be able to log his efforts via creating work logs. So this work logs tab, he'll be able to add a new work log, and he'll be able to add all the information related to the type of work that is done for that ticket. For instance, if he has provided on-site support, he'll be able to create and associate all the costs and other details within this work log and save. So he'll be able to log the entire time that he has worked in, and uh, this is how the work log entry would be created. Now, once this work log entry is created, this work log entries then will be accumulated in a manner, and once the bill cycle approaches, all the associated costs would be listed, and it will be sent as a bill to the client, right? So now let's check out the two other billing methods, right? So you can create ad hoc bills in ServiceDesk Plus MSP. So ad hoc bills are essentially if your clients reach out, if one of your clients reach out to you and ask to see how much services they have already availed even before the contract is about to end, you'll be able to generate an ad hoc bill from the billing tab. So on the top panel, you'll be able to select the billing tab. If you go to the billing tab, you'll be able to see all the bills that are already generated, and then you'll be able to generate the ad hoc bill just by selecting the duration, and just by adding the dates. If you want to add it, if you want the bill for a certain particular date to another date, then you'll be able to just select the mark the duration here, and just a moment, and then you'll be able to add the contract for which you want this bill ad hoc bill for, and then click on generate bill. Once the bill is generated, you'll be able to see this all the services are listed, and all the charges are listed as well, along with its service tax. And then you'll be able to either export this, print this, or send it via via PDF file, XLS file, and CSV file. All right. So this is how you'll be able to create ad hoc bills. Now, if you want to, if you have done a particular break fix task for any of your client, and you don't want that to be included within a service contract, so you'll be able to work on that particular request alone. And once you complete that, once you close that request, you'll be able to, once the request is closed, once you've finished the work on that ticket, that request, you'll be able to generate a job sheet. So a break fix job sheet, you'll be able to generate from here. And once the job sheet is generated, you'll be able to send it across to your clients, right? So this is how billing of different types work in ServiceDesk Plus MSP. Now we'll talk about tracking time accurately, right? So this feature is essentially timesheets feature in ServiceDesk Plus, and in this feature, you'll be able to see view a consolidated view of technicians' work, and you'll be able to gauge all the efforts of your technician, right? So let's see how this feature works. So on the top panel, you'll be able to see the option called timesheets. Once you click on timesheets, you'll be able to you'll arrive on this page. Now, from here, you can see that there is something called timesheet approvals, right? So this tab, and then there is my timesheet. So this timesheet approvals tab will only be visible to you if you've been assigned the timesheet approver role within the roles, right? So how would that be configured? We go to the admin panel, and while the role is being created under roles, while the role is being created, if the technician, if the admin has selected this particular option called approved timesheets, then only then you'll be able to see this particular tab. Otherwise, you'll just be able to see your timesheets, right? So let's see how this timesheets work, right? So in order to create a timesheet, you need to click on timesheet button, select the timesheet period, and once you do that, you'll be able to arrive on this screen. So all the technicians' work logs would be listed here. It will be fetched from each request this particular technician has worked on, or is still currently working, and all his activities, all the request projects change or tasks would be listed here, and you'll be able to see each task that is associated to which particular client, right? And then what else we'll be able to see is how many billable hours that particular that particular technician has, and how many non-billable hours he has. So based on that, you'll also be able to gauge the performance of your particular technician, right? And then now once his draft is completed, he'll be able to submit this for approval. Once he has submitted it for approval, it'll look something like this. So now his superior would be able to approve or reject this particular timesheet. So once he approves, the timesheet would be approved, or if he rejects this, the timesheet would look something like this. And on this, the technician would be able to make the changes that are necessary in the work logs, and then he'll be able to resubmit. So once he resubmits and his timesheet is approved, you'll be able to he'll be able to see this. So his timesheet is approved, right? And then further, this can also so the timesheets can also be extended to the payroll, and it can be utilized to pay your technicians according to their work. All right. So this is how timesheets are configured in ServiceDesk Plus MSP. Now we arrive on the next feature. So this feature is particularly about making ticketing easy in ServiceDesk Plus MSP, right? So here we'll be talking about different support. Here we'll be talking about the different incident communication channels, different help desk customizations, and automations, right? So let's dive into the product and see how these are configured. So now we're talking about incident communication channels, right? So essentially, an end user can create requests via 5 different ways. So these 5 different ways are email, web form, live chat, Zia bot, and Microsoft Teams, right? So let's check out how a end user can create requests via email and web form first. So an end user would open up his mail, and he'll be able to send across a mail. Let's say this particular user is facing application crash issue, and so he'll send a mail across to to his IT service desk, and once he clicks send, the ticket would be logged in the service desk plus MSP. So this ticket you'll be able to see under request tab. Now it takes it takes a minute to show up here. So meanwhile the ticket shows up here, let's check out the web form. So if any end user reaches out to the technician via phone call or reaches out in person, the technician would be able to create a ticket on his behalf with the help of this web form. So he'll be able to select the name of the requester. He'll be able to associate any template, particularly if it's valid. He'll be able to add the subject details, and he'll be able to create this request, right? So this is how the web form and email can be utilized, right? And then we come to the live chat feature. So for showcasing the live chat feature, I'll take you to the end users login, right? So this is how the end user self-service portal would look like. So end user would be able to see all his requests and solutions. So on the right hand corner at the bottom, you'll be able to see an option called live chat. So once the user clicks on that, he'll be able to create a new request, or he'll be able to see all his existing requests. So if he wants to send a request such as the he's facing trouble, he's not able to access the LAN, so he sends unable to access LAN, and he'll send out his issue to the technician. So here on the technician side, you'll be able to see that a request has arrived, a chat request has arrived. So the technician would be able to pick up this request, or if he does not respond within 80 seconds, this request would go missed, right? So once he picks up, he'll be able to directly chat with the technician, and he'll be able to resolve his queries, resolve his whatever incident that end user is facing, right? Then we come to the Zia. So Zia bot is in order to configure Zia bot, you need to go to the admin panel. Once you click on admin panel, you'll be able to go at the bottom and see an option called Zia bot under the Zia icon, right? So here you'll be able to enable this particular icon. Once you enable this icon, on the right hand side, you'll be able to see a Zia logo is there. Now, with this Zia chatbot, you'll be able to deal with all the relevant tickets, and you'll be able to perform these 20 actions that we have pre-configured for you for now, right? So in order to create a new ticket, just click on raise a request, raise a ticket, add the subject details, and the ticket would show up in the request panel, right? So from here, we can you can click on a request and see that request has a lot of elements that are involved, right? So all these elements are the different fields basically within the help desk application, right? So now that we have checked out all the communication channels, okay, so Microsoft, I'm so sorry, I missed the Microsoft Teams communication channel. Let me showcase that to you very quickly. All right. So once you in order to configure the Microsoft Teams, you'll be able to go to the admin panel. At the bottom, you'll be able to go in apps and add-ons, find the integrations options. Under integrations, under third-party integrations, you'll be able to see the Microsoft Teams option is there. Once you click on the settings and configure all the details, you'll be able to enable the Microsoft Teams application within ServiceDesk Plus MSP. Microsoft Teams application within MS Teams app, right? And it will look something like this for a technician. So a technician would be able to perform all these commands that are listed over here and more that are listed in our admin guide. You can check that out later on our website. All right. So once a technician, if a technician wants to see his open request, he can click on this option and he'll be able to see that all these requests are open for him. All right. So this is how it will look for a technician, and for an end user, it will look something like this. All right. So for an end user, the end user would be able to create a new incident, or he'll be able to see all the open requests. There's another button that comes as the chat with technician, so or initiate a chat with technician, which is not available here due to Microsoft Teams outage that is going on currently. So we're not able to showcase that particular option here right now. All right. So with this, we have covered all the communication channels. Now we move on to the help desk customizations. So within the admin panel, you'll be able to customize all these help desk related customizations. All right. So in the help desk customization, the first option is category. So category is essentially the type of requests that come in. For instance, if a request comes in for related to hardware, if a request comes in related to software, so basically you'll be able to customize all these categories and create new categories right from the new button, right? So beyond the categories, you will also be able to configure a subcategory and an item under the subcategory, right? So you'll be able to define different hierarchy for the different categories, right? So this is how we can create different request categories. Then the next option is status. So status is essentially the level of progress of a particular ticket, right? So wherever at whichever stage the particular ticket is at right now, such as on hold or open or in progress, or if a technician is waiting for a customer response, you'll be able to configure all these kinds of statuses within this status tab. And then we move on to the level. So level is essentially the complexity of a ticket, right? So you'll be able to create different levels from here. Then we come to the mode. So all the modes, all the different modes that a request can come in, you'll be able to add all these modes here. Then we move on to the impact. So impact of a ticket is essentially the measure of the business criticality. So if impact is affecting the business, it will be high. If it's affecting a user, it will be low, and you'll be able to configure more impacts. Similarly, you'll be able to configure the urgency. Urgency is basically the necessary speed of solving a particular incident, right? So you'll be able to create more urgency from here. Similarly, we have something called priority. So priority is basically the need, the importance that you want to give to a particular ticket. So you'll be able to configure different priority types here. Then in ServiceDesk Plus MSP, we have something called priority matrix. So the priority matrix is essentially an small automation feature that automatically assigns priority to a ticket. If the technician has added the impact as high and urgency as urgent, the ticket would be given the highest priority, and so on and so forth. You'll be able to create different request types, and such as incident and service requests. You'll be able to create different task categories, such as implementation, installation, and more. And you'll also be able to create a work log type. So recently we created a work log within a ticket, and we were able to create the type of the on-site support, right? So all those different work log types can be customized here. You will also be able to add the additional work log items, such as, let's say, if a technician goes on site, so you'll be able to log in his travel expenses. So with that, you will be able to charge your client based on all those costs. You will be able to add all those costs within the work log, and you'll be able to charge your client accordingly, right? So all these help desk customizations are configured this way. Next, we move on to the automations within ServiceDesk Plus MSP. So the request automation in ServiceDesk Plus MSP starts with the business rules. So business rules are essentially the different rules that you want your request to pass through, and in order to satisfy a particular criteria and then perform a particular action. So in ServiceDesk Plus MSP, now you'll be able to create different rule groups, under which in order to create a new rule group, you'll be able to click on the rule group button, and then in order to create a different business rule, you'll be able to click on add rule, and from here you'll be able to select the rule name and other details, and you'll be able to define the particular criteria for this bill rule. So if you want your account to see all the whether the particular incoming tickets are of Acme Securities account, then you'll be able to select this particular condition, and if this condition is satisfied, you'll be able to configure certain actions such as field updates, custom functions. You can also execute a script, or you'll be able to define if else actions, right? Let's say I want to update a field, so if I click on field update, and I want to give this account highest priority, so I'll select the priority option here. I'll click on priority, and I'll be able to set the priority as high. And within the and in the request side, in a particular request that passes through this bill rule and satisfies the criteria, the priority would be assigned here as high for that particular account. Now, next up is service level agreements. So service level agreements is basically the agreed upon time within which you want to deliver your services to your client, right? So in order to create a new service SLA, you click on this button. You'll be able to add SLA name, SLA, and then here you'll be able to define the criteria that you want to match with the ticket, so that you can associate a particular SLA, and then you'll be able to define response and resolution SLAs. For instance, I want this particular ticket to be all the tickets that matches this particular criteria to be responded within 10 minutes. So I'll set the response time as 10 minutes, and I set the resolution time as 2 hours. So this request has to be responded within 10 minutes and resolved within 2 hours. If it is not done, you'll be able to escalate these tickets, escalate this ticket to the technician's superior, or you'll be able to select a group owner. And then you'll also be able to configure certain field updates from here itself, such as assigning to a different technician, setting different priority, or setting different level or a group. Then you'll be able to also configure the resolution SLAs, and the resolution SLAs can be configured in multiple levels in similar way, right? And once all the configurations are done, you'll be able to click save and create a service level agreement. So after service level agreement, we have a technician auto assign. So this technician auto assign feature will basically be utilized to automatically assign tickets to the technicians. So here we have two methods with which we assign. So the first is round robin. With round robin, you'll be able to assign the ticket to the next technician in line. As in, if a technician A has been assigned a ticket, so next ticket will be assigned to technician B, and so forth, and so on and so forth. And in with load balancing, you'll be able to assign tickets to the technician whoever has the least amount of tickets, right? So that way you'll be able to manage your technician load, as well as you'll be able to make sure that all your tickets are assigned and are being worked upon. Next up, and then from here, you'll be able to decide when this rule would be executed, and you'll be able to add different criteria, such as if you want to exclude a particular technician, you'll be able to exclude them, or if you want to include a particular technician, you can select that as well. And then you'll be able to configure rules, such as if the account is, you can list all the accounts that you want this particular feature to be applicable for. Then we have then this is how technician auto assign works. Next up, we have small rules, something called notification rules. So this notification rule is the same as that we saw in the accounts tab, that can be configured for requesters and technician notifications. Next up is closure rules. So closure rules are essentially the options to mandate certain fields, so that requests are within the ticket, you have to select a technician would have to select and add information in those particular fields, or make changes to those particular fields. Only then the technician would be able to close a request. For instance, if you want the resolution to be noted on a particular ticket, then you'll be able to select this and mandate this particular option and save. Right? So this is how different automations, request-related automations, are customized in ServiceDesk Plus MSP. Next up, we have managing resources. So resource management feature. So this resource management feature is, essentially helps you track the resource load and plan and manage all the, plan, manage, and deploy all the right resources to the right tasks. So where this feature is, on the home tab, you'll be able to see the resource management. Under resource management, you'll be able to see all your technicians and the tasks that they are associated with. And once you see that, if a technician has no task at a particular time, and if you want to balance the workload, and or if you want to assign the right ticket to the right technician, you'll be just able to drag and drop, and you'll be able to assign that ticket to that particular technician and manage the workload, as well as send the tickets to the send the tasks, associate the tasks to the right technician, right? So this feature is as simple as that. Next up is managing field services. So in order to manage field services and basically manage all your on-site technicians, we have a functionality called maps integration. In order to configure that, you click on setup, you go to the maps integration, from here you can enable the maps integration. So to enable that, you can either utilize Zoho Maps, which is free of cost, or you can utilize the Google Maps. So if you want to utilize Google Maps, you'll be able to add Google API key and use your map subscription. Otherwise, you'll be able to utilize our free Zoho Maps. Once you click on save, you'll be able to see, once you click on save, on the top, you'll be able to see maps integration. Once you click on that, you arrive on the particular maps. This particular map. From here, you'll be able to geographically track all your account sites as well as your technicians. And based on that, you'll be able to assign your technician to the closest site if any request comes from that site, right? So this is how you'll be able to easily manage all your on-site technicians and manage all your field services, right? So next up, handling the projects. So project management in ServiceDesk Plus MSP is can be seen at Projects tab. So in the Projects tab, you'll be able to see all the projects are listed, and you can use the accounts drop down to see a particular account's projects, right? So once you create a project would look something like this. So under project, you'll be able to configure all the project details. You'll be able to set different milestones. Milestones are essentially you'll be breaking down the project into different parts, and you'll be able to assign those as milestones. To all these milestones, you can further break down and assign and create different tasks, right? So you'll be able to break down these milestones as tasks, and you'll be able to add them here. But you can also create create the tasks via templates, and you'll be able to see all the task dependencies, and you'll be able to set these task dependency based on the different tasks that are need to be performed for this particular project, right? So from next up is timesheet. This is similar to the timesheet feature that we saw. All the request log that technicians have added to the task will be fetched here. Then you'll be able to see all the members that are working within this project, and you'll be able to add or remove the members, right? Under the roles, you'll also be able to configure the particular role for each project member, right? And then you'll be able to see the Gantt view. So now Gantt view is the key feature which gives you an overall picture of how your project is moving forward. For example, all these dotted lines that you see is the level to which this particular request is completed. For instance, this request is completed 70%. So similarly, you'll be able to see all the tasks of different that different project members are working on, and what is the progress of each task. Next up is the resource management. So this resource management exactly like the resource management feature that we just saw, and you'll be able to manage all the resources within this project using this tab. Furthermore, you'll be able to add comments or associate particular requests that are associated with this ticket, associated to the particular request. Then you'll also be associated changes. So let's say if a change is because of a change, this project has been initiated, so you'll be able to associate the change. Just you have to click on associate and associate the change. So this is how projects are done in ServiceDesk Plus MSP effectively, right? And in order to configure the project management related customization, we go to the setup. Under customization, you'll be able to see project management. You'll be able to configure the different project types, different project statuses, and different project roles that we just saw that we can assign to the members. So this is how project management in ServiceDesk Plus MSP can be configured, and you can handle all your projects. And last and final feature is MSP Business Dashboard. So under Dashboard section, you have an option called Business Dashboard. So this vibrant looking dashboard is not just pretty looking, but it also gives you all the key metrics such as revenue, the number of technicians, the total build time, total managed assets, and customer satisfaction levels, and more. We have also created certain other KPIs such as revenue. So here you'll be able to see your month-on-month revenue, your last 12 bill cycles, your billable versus non-billable hours, and your customer satisfaction rates, and more, right? So this is where we come to an end for the PSA features in ServiceDesk Plus MSP, right? So next up are the RMM solutions. So in order to showcase the RMM solutions, I invite Nisha.
So, as Aditya had explained, we had seen in detail about Service Desk Plus MSP, which is our PSA and ITSM tool. So, the other part, which is very important to MSPs like you, is the RMM capabilities. So, every MSP today looks forward to managing monitoring, securing, and discovering all of your network devices, be it your endpoints, your servers, your network devices like your routers or switches. So all of these need to be managed under a single console. So this is where Manage Engine's RMM products come in. So we have two distinct products available today. One is Manage Engine RMM Central and the other is Manage Engine Endpoint Central MSP. To give you an overview of Endpoint Central MSP, it is a holistic solution which helps you in managing, monitoring, and securing all of your clients' endpoints. So, be it capabilities like patch deployment and patch management, applications deployment, or getting all your IT asset inventory under a single view, your remote troubleshooting capabilities, configurations deployment, and more. All of these are combined together in this single product. Now, moving to the RMM Central, this is a combination of all the endpoint management and security capabilities, along with network device monitoring and IT operations management capabilities. So in this product, as you can see, you have the monitoring capabilities, which include a complete end-to-end inventory, your networks of your client machines, server management, fault detection and identification, alarms, setting up maps, and more, along with the capabilities of endpoint management, which we have seen in a separate standalone product. Now, we have the capability to integrate these products with ServiceDesk Plus MSP. Let me quickly showcase how this integration is possible. Now, from your ServiceDesk Plus MSP console, navigate to the Admin tab, and here you will have the part called Integrations. Now, when you find the product called Endpoint Central, you can click on Settings, and here I've already integrated my Endpoint Central MSP server along with the ServiceDesk Plus MSP server. In case you're going to integrate it newly, you will have to provide your server name, the port details, and here you will have to generate your API key. Now, once this part is done, navigate to your Endpoint Central MSP server. Here, click on Admin tab. Once again, under Integrations, you will find ServiceDesk Plus MSP settings. Here you will have to provide the server details of your ServiceDesk Plus MSP and add the API that has been generated in this particular server. Once you host this, your Endpoint Central MSP and your ServiceDesk Plus MSP is completely integrated. When you want a technician to access both ServiceDesk Plus MSP and the integrated capabilities of Endpoint Central MSP, you will have to create a new technician role which allows access to Endpoint Central MSP details. So quickly navigate to the Admin tab, click on Technicians. So when you create a new technician role, you will have a checkbox which says you can enable the plugin of Endpoint Central and MDM. Select this particular checkbox to enable access for the technician to have both Endpoint Central MSP and ServiceDesk Plus MSP details. Now, once your integration is possible, the next step, you will find all the capabilities of Endpoint Central MSP available within your ServiceDesk Plus console. So be it your patch deployment, if you want to monitor patches, whether it's missing patches or the system health details, or if you want to schedule the deployment, all of this can be initiated from this particular console. Again, when it comes to applications management, you can create software packages, install the applications, and also view the status of the configurations that are there for deployment. When it comes to remote troubleshooting, your IT holistic inventory, so essentially, you will eliminate the usage of two different consoles and have all the capabilities present in one single console. Now, this is the key feature of integrating ServiceDesk Plus MSP with Endpoint Central MSP. Now, beyond this, we have a few other additional capabilities. First off, when it comes to remote troubleshooting, so your end users may raise requests regarding issues in their particular devices. Now, these requests will fall as tickets under your request tab in ServiceDesk Plus MSP. So once you have the integration possible, directly from the request section, you can initiate a remote troubleshooting session and directly connect with your clients and users' machines to understand what the issue is and resolve it up to date. Another capability here is your applications management. Now, here in Endpoint Central MSP, we have a particular capability called Self Service Portal. Now, in this self service portal, technicians can deploy software packages, both licensed and non licensed packages. So, if your end user or your client's end user wishes to download and deploy this particular application, they can do so. So, you have an option where they can raise a request to download and install a particular application. When the end user raises a request, once again, it creates a ticket in your ServiceDesk Plus MSP automatically. So from here, either you choose to approve or deny the request, automatically this particular request is conveyed to the Endpoint Central MSP server, which then proceeds to allow or deny the installation of a particular application. So all your capabilities, be it your applications or your inventory management, all of this is essentially carried out from your Service Desk Plus MSP itself. So anywhere there is a ticket creation, anywhere a technician's involvement is required, you can have the request. The tickets are created in your Service Desk Plus MSP portal, and the access to the end user's machines can be done instantly from this particular server. If you want to associate a ticket along with the remote troubleshooting session that you go on with your end users, you can do so once again using this integration. So this is about an overview of your Endpoint Central MSP and your Service Desk Plus MSP's integration. Now moving on to RMM Central of Manage Engine, the integration capabilities are pretty similar. So your applications deployment, your inventory, your remote troubleshooting details, your network performance monitoring, all of this data can be accessed in your Service Desk Plus MSP's console. For more details regarding this integration, you can find the help document of RMM Central, which explains in detail on how you can integrate and also what are the benefits of integrating Service Desk Plus MSP with RMM Central. Similarly, you can also view the Endpoint Central MSP document, which will help you in the steps for integrating SDP MSP or Service Desk Plus MSP with Endpoint Central MSP. Hope this answers your question about the integration. Over to you, Aditya.
All right. Thank you so much, Nisha. With this, we come to the end, towards the end of this particular, towards the end of this session. And so let's recap what we've learned in this particular session, right? So we saw how we can manage accounts and contacts centrally. We saw how we can configure different types. We can configure automated billing and how we can generate different types of bills. And then we saw how you can utilize various communication channels such as email, chat, live chat, Zia, and MS Teams. And then we saw how you could configure all the request related customizations and automations. Then we moved on, and then we saw how you can manage all your resources, whether on-site or off-site, whether on-site or in office resources, with the help of ServiceDesk Plus MSP, utilizing the timesheets apps, a timesheets feature, resource management feature, and maps integration. Then we saw how you would be able to customize project within ServiceDesk Plus MSP app, and how you can utilize the MSP business dashboard to get all your business numbers on the go. Then finally, Nisha showcased the key RMM integrations for available within Manage Engine, such as RMM Central and Endpoint Central, and how you'll be able to utilize those features with ServiceDesk Plus MSP. All right. So with that, we come towards the end of the session. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us at hello@servicedeskplus.com, and we'll be answering all your questions. All right. Once again, thank you so much for joining this session today. Thank you. This is Aditya signing off.